What's happening, everybody? My name is Mike at Filmboy24. Today we're going to talk about what I did with my brand new Krasnogorsk 3, this old roll of 72-31 plus X, and this really cheap zoom lens. So if you've watched my channel for any length of time whatsoever, you know that I like to experiment and have fun with all kinds of film, especially motion picture film. Now, I replaced my old Krasnogorsk 3, or K-3 for the film nerds like me, with this brand spanking new one, and I've shot it one other time, just ran a roll of film through it, and decided I really need to do it one more time before I convert it to Super 16. But this time I wanted to play around with a really cheapo, this is a Soligar 70-235 zoom lens. It's a slow lens, f4.5, but I kind of figured if I do it shoot in the daytime and there's plenty of light, I just want to see what it does. It is an M42 mount, which is the same as my K3. Now, I've shot with the standard Meteor 17-69 lens quite a few times, once with this and with my old K3. So it was time to switch it out. So I loaded up this roll of really old 72-31. It's a plus X negative film. I love this film. This is probably my favorite black and white 16mm film. It's a very old school film. They don't make it anymore, so if I can find it anywhere, anytime, I usually try to pick it up. It's a slower speed film. It's great for outdoors. It's a little more contrasty, which is what I like. And in this particular case, well, maybe it was a little more contrasty than I really wanted. That's my fault. Well, maybe it's my fault and the film's fault. I don't know how that film was stored its entire life. So with this particular roll, I did something a little bit different. And I'm not talking about with filming because I just filmed with it. I filmed over at my sister's house, and then my other sister came into town from up north, and she was in a hotel on the beach in Daytona, and I went on the balcony and I did some filming there, so you'll see that shortly. But I've been having some issues with my 100-foot tank and some overlapping around the outer edge of my film, and it was really starting to bother me. Now with my little Lomos, my 50-foot tanks, I've had to sand the center column down just a little bit to compensate because they're off a little bit here and there. So I decided I would sand the center column down a little bit on my 100-foot tank. Yeah, sanded it a little too much. So it holds more like 15mm film now than it does 16mm film. So instead of making it better, I kind of made it worse. So I designed a 5-second gasket out of some closed cell, like high density foam, about 1 millimeter or 2 thick. And I made a little gasket and I put that over the center post and then put the top cap on top of that to help rise it up a little bit. It helped. I still had a little bit of overlap, not really as bad as I had been getting, so I felt pretty good about it. So, but this time I wanted, instead of pouring 2 liters of chemicals into that tank, and sometimes it takes a long time to get it in there, 30 to 45 seconds, and I get that uneven development. I decided this time to use these oil fill containers that I bought and try to do it in total darkness, spool it on the 100-foot reel, and then dunk it into 4 baths, including my first bath, which was 67 degrees Fahrenheit, HC 110B. Yep, that's my go-to. Then into a plain water rinse bath, from there into my Kodak fixer bath, and finally back into a final wash bath. So I had 4 buckets set up. They're not really buckets, they're drain catch containers. I'll show you a picture. They fit this 100-foot reel pretty perfectly. So I figured that would be the best way to get nice, even results. At least I thought I would. So I'm now thinking that maybe the film is the issue because my results are really not all that even. Still getting what I call sort of fogging and flashing and, just some stuff that I don't like. I'm not sure if it's from using my cheapo lens. I'm not sure. I did tape up the door and the footage counter on the K-3. It was all outdoors and it was pretty bright sunlight, so maybe it has something to do with light leaks somewhere. I don't know. But I've typically have trouble with this kind of film, with getting these kind of results. Everything's visible. It's not perfect by any means, but you can definitely see it. So this was more of just a fun experiment, just to see if a lens like this, which you could buy these online for anywhere from $10 to $20, they're very cheapo lenses, if something like this could potentially be used for telephoto movie making on this. So why don't we do less of this? I know some people think I ramble a lot, and so do I. Why don't we take a look at the results, and we'll talk about them for just a second after. Here they are. You see what I mean? That's the kind of results I get sometimes. Listen, if you want perfect results, you can't develop it at home. This is an experimental process for the most part. I've not really seen any beautiful results home processed. It's night and day different than sending to a professional lab where it's very temperature controlled. It's a continuous feed system. Home processing is for fun and having a great time, like guys like me that enjoy just working with film in general. I'm going to continue to process at home, and I'm going to continue to expect those kind of results. Now, just to give you an example of lens comparison, I'm going to push this lens all the way in, and let me show you the size difference between the Meteor and the Soligar. You see that? I don't know if you can. Oh, I'm sure you can. It's about twice as long, and then when you telephoto, yeah, that's a big lens. So it's fun. It was a fun experiment. Don't know if I'm going to use it again or how often I'm going to use it. I'll probably use it again, but I don't know how often. I still love this film. I like the older school in the green box. I seem to have better luck with the really old, I don't know if you can see it, 7231. I've shot several rolls of this, and it's always come out better than this, I guess, newer style, even though they're both discontinued. There are a couple of things that I actually dislike about these K3s, and there's a lot of things that I love about these K3s. First and foremost, it's the crank. It's a pain. It is an absolute pain in the compared to the Bolex, the H series. It's tough to crank. Very stout, very strong cameras, and the weight. The weight is considerably, in my opinion, I actually haven't weighed them both, but it's a lot heavier than the H16. So the weight and the crank itself are probably the two things that I dislike the most. It's a little bit trickier to load than the H16, although once you take the loop formers out of these, it makes it a lot easier to load. It really does. Which that's coming soon. I promise you, I am going to make a video on removing the loop formers and upgrading to Super 16. That's coming soon. I have the parts right there. Lens recenter and the widened gate, which I am going to polish. You know, I just have a ball with this. My third grade teacher, her uncle had a best friend whose next door neighbor had a daughter. She used to tell me, if you're not having fun with, you know, what you're doing, then just pack it up. Time to stop. Well, I'm having a ball, so I'm going to continue. And as long as you guys keep watching and liking these videos just like this, yeah, I'm going to keep making them. And if you enjoy videos like this and goofiness like that, how about consider subscribing and becoming part of this little family. I got a great group of people that I've become friends with. So leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. I'm all ears, as you can see. And until the very next time that we get involved in another crazy session of film, I'll see you all in the next go around.